I'm not looking for advice on how to lose weight. I know all that. I know the theory and whatnot. If anything, I'm looking for advice on how to manage an eating disorder. Well, and also how to avoid getting injured all the time, I suppose. Alrighty, so as I said, I wanna... What's going on, dog? Who peed on your leg? I said I wanted to revive this channel and do occasional thingamajigs, and figure it's usually best while outside, so you don't just have to stare at boring indoor backgrounds and all that. It's a nice day, it's spring, and the black flies haven't come out yet, surprisingly, but I'm not complaining, that's for sure. Taking a stroll at a local cemetery because they're nice and quiet, and there are often no people, no living people, that is. I figured I could talk a little bit about how I got to where I am now. You know, I hinted at all the setbacks and blah, whatever, in the previous video. So how did that happen exactly? Everything was going so well. You know, 2017, I was at my fittest, lowest weight and everything, strongest, blah, blah. And then 2018 already started to, get a little bumpy. And had some setbacks, put a bit of weight back on. So figured, okay, I gotta crank it up. And, was working on getting back to my lowest weight and, building more muscle, which was really my main goal at the time. Well, now I've seen everything. I noticed something weird from the corner of my eye. And looking over, there's a person lying on the grass, sunning themselves or something. At the same time, also not, because they've covered themselves in clothing and stuff. I don't know. I mean, taking a nap at a cemetery makes some sense, I suppose. It's nice and quiet, like I said. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, everything was going great. I mean, honestly, no, it wasn't going great. That's the funny thing, and also a big part of what led to my downfall, so to speak. I used to have this idea that when I get to my ideal weight, I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied. Nah, I wasn't. At that time, when I was at my lowest weight, obviously I wasn't fat anymore, but what bothered me then was I'm too skinny now. So now I gotta build some muscle. And it didn't work out the way I wanted. I was able to make strength gains until I hit a total plateau that I couldn't break at all. In hindsight, I'm still not entirely sure. I'm guessing it was because I just tried to go for linear progression. Just, okay, more every time, harder every time. Deload, what's that? And I was constantly hella fatigued. And maybe I was overtrained, but I still don't really know. So when things slowed down and progress came to a halt, my response was keep grinding, keep pushing harder, which is how I got injured. Multiple smaller things. I kept messing up my lower back despite trying to improve my form and this and that and the other. And eventually I messed up my left shoulder. The left one. The right one got injured when I was hit by a car in 2016 and suffered a shoulder separation. So then I wrecked the other shoulder, which, again, I kept trying to find the problem and improve the form and change this and change that. It didn't help. There was constantly this nagging pain until eventually I was like, you know what? Screw it. If it hurts no matter what I do, I might as well push through. Great idea. Until eventually my shoulder was such a mess that I couldn't even move my arm properly anymore. Like I couldn't move it more than like this, maybe. Like I couldn't bring my arm on my back. It was super stiff and painful and everything. So eventually it got to the point where I couldn't do a lot of exercises anymore in the gym, which killed my motivation, because then it was like, okay, I'm not only making no progress, now I'm making negative progress. I'm regressing. So that destroyed my mindset. And from there on, it just kept derailing and escalating until eventually, the eating disorder was taking over more and more once again. It always starts with just small, tiny little indulgences here and there. And then it snowballs into binge eating, essentially. So then I kept struggling because I knew what was happening the entire time. I tried to stop it, kept struggling, and no. The thing is, I knew how to do it. That's not the problem. I've done it several times. Knowing what to do, not the problem for the most part. Okay, when it came to some, gym exercises, you can always learn more, you can always improve your form, and clearly I was doing something wrong, obviously. But overall, as far as weight loss is concerned, I know what to do, but knowing and doing, not the same. And I might have been able to come back from those setbacks and deal with them if my brain was all right. And I don't just mean mindset, I also mean things like neurotransmitter imbalances. Because I've always had trouble with fatigue, lethargy, constantly being tired, not sleeping well, not recovering well, sometimes getting what's called post-workout malaise, which is, basically feels like coming down with a virus, like getting a cold or something, except you don't get any symptoms other than extreme fatigue and joint pains, that kind of overall body soreness, and sort of just feeling unwell overall, just being messed up, brain fog and things like that, which is one of the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, which is hard to get diagnosed with, and I don't know if I actually have it or if it's something else. It might be something related, who the hell knows. Either way, I've always been jealous of people who say they get energized from workouts, from exercising. I'm like, what? You get what? In my case, it doesn't matter if it's light exercise, medium, heavy, whatever. It always drains me of all energy and of the will to live, to be dramatic for the rest of the day. It's pretty severe, and I haven't been able to figure out what it is. I've had all kinds of tests done, blood tests, this and, whatever, sleep lab test and all kinds of crap. It always comes back normal, which is why my guess is that it's neurotransmitter related. There's quite significant overlap, serious comorbidity between ADHD and depression, for example. And anyway. So that makes the whole process pretty difficult, because even at my best, I felt better than I do now. I was also younger, but overall, I had much more endurance and everything, but I still was constantly tired after working out. Like after workout, the rest of the day, just forget about me, basically, just deeply exhausted. And the only thing that helped, at least a little bit, was just caffeine. Artificial means of getting there. Yeah, so I still don't really know what to make of all this. I don't really know what to do about it other than trying it again. Basically the same thing, best as I know, because it's worked before, at least temporarily. Except it's never been as hard as it is this time. It's always been extremely hard every time, but I've never had quite this many setbacks. I'm used to just reaching a certain point where a mental lever flicks and I'm like, boom, this is it. Now I'm serious. And from then on, I go on a successful weight loss journey. This time, I've had that several times, like, I don't know, 6 times or so. I've had this experience of, that's it, I'm done, I'm fully committed now. The mindset has switched, and then I was super disciplined and ate healthy and everything for a while, and then it fell apart again. I don't know if it's just because I'm older now, and the older you get, the more difficult everything gets, or I don't know. Maybe I'm not as committed as I think, but it's just whenever those moments happen of pure eating disorder, I'm just not in control. Everybody who suffered from it, I'm sure, is familiar with that. When you just cannot control your behavior. It's like you're standing beside yourself, watching yourself go on a binge or whatever the hell, and you're like, no, stop. Like, I'm gonna pay for this, I don't want this. But at that time, it's just, nope. Part of the brain has decided to take over. That's just this gluttonous monster. It's like, no. Fluff you, I'm gonna do this. Like, I don't care what price I have to pay, I must do this now. Which is a really shitty experience. And that's the thing, I'm not looking for advice on how to lose weight. I know all that, I know the theory and whatnot. If anything, I'm looking for advice on how to manage an eating disorder. Well, and also how to avoid getting injured all the time, I suppose. I seem to be kind of cursed in recent years. For most of my life, I never got any significant injuries, and then in my mid-30s, basically, it started, and it just kept going. Everything healed slowly, but enough complaining and bitching and moaning. I haven't given up yet. I'm still struggling. I still want to succeed at this and get to a reasonable weight again and get healthier. And stay with me to see if that happens, I guess. Thanks for listening to my babble, and take care.